next leg square of social justice. DOJ and 16 states come to support the Georgia teacher fired for reading LGBTQ book. In a significant legal development, the U.S. Department of Justice and 16 state attorneys generals, alongside with the District of Columbia, have filed amicus brief in support of Katherine Rinderle. Rinderle was a Georgia teacher who was dismissed for reading an LGBTQ-themed book for her 5th grade class. This case, Rinderle versus Cobb County School District, centers on her firing after reading My Shadow is Purple at Due West Elementary in March 2023. Rinderle's lawsuit filed under Title IX argues her dismissal reflects broader sex-based discrimination. Title IX bans sex discrimination in education, a scope that, according to the Biden administration, includes queer discrimination. The DOJ's brief does not address the merits of Rinderle's Title IX claim, but emphasizes the need to consider the impact of the school's policies on students. It advocates for teachers' right to address discrimination without retaliation and highlights that such cases should be evaluated based on comprehensive evidence. The brief also challenges the school district's Divisive Concepts policies, which censor LGBTQ content. However, the district had used a parent's complaint about the book as justification for Rinderle's suspension and eventual termination. The amicus brief from the states assert that inclusive educational policies foster better outcomes for queer students and critiques the narrow approach of Cobb County's policies. The Cobb County School District maintains that the dismissal was in line with Georgia law and dismisses the critics. I mean, this is Georgia kind of like going after Florida, following the Florida footsteps, and it's just outrageous that some kid just complaining to their teacher will, or their mother will, create all this havoc in the educational system and targeting gay youth and or people that are just talking about life and somehow she lost her job. So it's a sad state of affairs that we're in.
Listen, teachers need to be paid a whole lot more. I mean, this is just fact, right? What they have to put up with, and then on top of it, you're going to add more shit to their plate. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. Katherine Rinderle, I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name right. You're a freaking warrior. Okay, you are a warrior. You will find the next job. It is time for you to leave that school. All right, just take it like that, because the story is about a little boy who loves all things princesses and queens. That's it. A 6-year-old boy. That's what the story is about. My Shadow is Purple. Okay, she's a warrior, and she stepped out, and she thought that this story was okay for for these kids, right? And now she's lost her job because of it. Like I said, things have an expiration like milk. This was the expiration to your job. Move on and, call it a day. These people don't deserve you.
I'm going to draw a contrast here.
Please.
That is ugly and sad and has me so mad at this moment. So while Georgia, Cobb County is a suburb of Atlanta, is prioritizing firing teachers who dare to admit that queer people exist, that are telling or allowing their kids to know that queer people exist. This is the priority of Georgia. Now, another suburban county just outside of Atlanta today is dealing with a mass shooting. 4 people are dead. At least the most recent update says 9 are wounded and in the hospital. And the suspect has been arrested, a 14-year-old boy. This is a high school near where this teacher happened. That's their priority. It's don't say gay, fire anyone who dares to think gay. But meanwhile, rather than do anything about guns, it's more efficient to these kids are traumatized no matter what from here out, but to duck under your desk drills, to learn how to do emergency evacuations, not for a fire, but if there's a shooter. Those are the priorities of Georgia. and Florida and Texas and many other states. Fire the gays, fire the allies. But mass shootings, we'll just move on.
We'll deal with that later. Who cares?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we'll arm teachers, we'll somehow, get away with, arming teachers, making kids going through basically war camp, basically to go to school, basically. This is how they pretend to go around this problem. In the meantime, let's fire on a good teacher that just happened to be reading to her students, which is what every teacher does.
Look, school just started here a couple of weeks ago here in South Florida, and they have implemented those things to check the metal detectors in almost every school in freaking Miami. Okay, but God forbid we say gay.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're two separate issues.
Of course they are.
But so getting back to her case, I don't know what her motivation was. If her what exactly the context was. If it was that she knew that she was not supposed to be reading this book and she decided to do it as an act of rebellion to get the media attention, bravo to you. I wasn't sure what that book was covering, but you just, talked about that all it is a boy who tends to like feminine things, something like that, to that effect, right? So I can tell you as somebody who has taught for 20 plus years and just teaching a bunch of 5-year-olds for the entire summer, you get a good hunch of like which of your kids are gay, and you don't ever really address it, and you also find that some kids gravitate to you more than others. Not that I have ever even talked about my sexuality, in the classroom, but when you see sometimes kids getting bullied over something and you say, what way can I send a message to the rest of the students? Like, hey, we should be a lot more forgiving, inclusive, like just not
without
making fun of
targeting that
people.
kid by name.
Exactly.
Without saying, stop bullying Billy because he's
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the strategies of just reading some kind of book or having some kind of lesson where we say, hey, look, everybody's a little different. You've got your quirks, because they don't really even know sexuality, at that age. They just know that people are kind of different and it makes you feel a little weird. And it's like, all right, well, how do we tackle this situation? And I think that's probably the perfect way to do it. Yeah. I don't know if in that purple shadow it even says the word gay in it or anything. It might just talk about, things that little boys like or little girls like, and it's more than one thing. It's more than sports and cars.
Yeah.
So I think that the bigger issue should be looking at what is considered contraband in the school and what's reading it, in the libraries and all of that. And I think that book, I hope the author comes out and does some interviews with it and says, hey, what is wrong with this? And let's have a larger conversation about it.